Welcome back, everybody, to another Toolbox Extra on the Educational AD podcast. We'll be right back with this week's Toolbox Extra guest, but as always, we're going to give a shout out to our sponsors. Now, if you're new, if you're old, we do this every episode. These are all companies that I used as an athletic director, and they are all great companies. That's why I have them as sponsors. That's why I recommend them to you. So take 3 minutes, listen to our shout outs, then listen to our Toolbox Extra guest, then go and visit these sponsors. I'm telling you, you're going to be glad you did. Here we go. We want to say thanks to our good friends at Snap Raise. You know, if you've ever spent weeks with a fundraiser and been disappointed in your return on investment, those days are over. Go to snapraise.com. We used it at our school with our teams and had tremendous success. It really, really works. Go to snapraise.com, check out their other great platforms. But if you're looking for a fundraiser, you just found it, and it's SnapRaise. We also want to thank Athletic Surveys. You know, at my school, we use surveys for everything, student athletes, coaches, especially parents. And here's the interesting thing. The information, the feedback we got was almost always overwhelmingly positive. We still got to hear from those squeaky wheels, but we got a chance to hear the concerns, address them, and keep them from turning into something big. But that positive data, incredibly valuable, especially when you're visiting with that frustrated parent, maybe your principal, or even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. athleticsurveys.com. We also want to say thanks to Home Campus. Home Campus is the official high school sports platform for many states, thousands of ADs, and even if your state uses a different platform, you can be a home campus school. I'm telling you, the athletic clearance and eligibility platform alone is a game changer. Go to homecampus.com for more information, and don't forget to mention the podcast. We also want to say thank you to Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to their website, and you can schedule a live web demo to see their products in action. You heard me say before, probably the single best purchase I ever made was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. Go to sidelineinteractive.com for more information. We want to say thanks to our good friends at Hometown. Hometown's changing the game for schools with their suite of solutions that includes things like, well, big surprise, digital ticketing, but how about fee-free fundraising? Athletic website construction, and about digital ticketing, they're still the number one provider. Go to hometown.com. Whether you're an AD or a principal, they're going to show you how to save time, raise more money, and bring your community together. That's hometown.com. We want to say thanks to Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. My assistant athletic director, along with thousands of others, got his master's through the Ohio program. And while they were earning their degree, they also completed 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. Check out Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. We want to say thanks to Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years. As an AD, I made sure that our school was a Huddle school. And our coaches, all of our coaches, our student athletes, even our parents, just love the platform, and so will you. Go to huddle.com, join the 8 million users, and turn your school into a Huddle school. We also want to say thanks to Gipper. Go to Gipper.com and let their team turn you into a social media marketing guru. Your program is doing great things, and you need to share them with the community. The team at Gipper is going to have you up and running in no time. It's professional graphic design made easy. Post text, images, video, graphics, you name it. You also can create newsletters. You really have to see it to believe it. Go to Gipper.com, and as always, don't forget to mention the podcast. And we want to thank Vital Signs Wall of Fame. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record boards or your school's Hall of Fame, go to their website and take a look at their interactive touch screen. That's right, touch screen video consoles. You put one of their units in your gym lobby or your main school hallway, it's going to be like a magnet for kids, for coaches. How about parents and sponsors? Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. And like I said, don't forget to mention the podcast. Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another segment of the Toolbox Extra on the Educational AD podcast. Our guest today is Matt Parker. Matt has an incredible background in athletics as a coach and as an AD. He's also doing some exciting stuff in the world of consulting, and also he's going to share all that. But Matt Parker, welcome to the Educational AD.
Thanks, Jake. I wore my Florida hat, my old school Gators hat for you today.
I see that. That is definitely old school. We had three kids. Two of them graduated from Florida State. We cheer obviously for the Seminoles. I'm not anti-Gator. It's I grew up in Oregon, and I grew up in a house that I like to say worshipped at the altar of the Oregon Ducks. My wife was the actual D1 athlete in our family. She went to Oregon State, and people talk about rivalries in Oregon. They don't call the Oregon State football game a football game. They call it the Civil War. So
Yeah.
I know all about rivalries, but thanks for representing Florida. Let's go ahead and jump right in. We always like to let our listeners have a chance to get to know our guests. So share a little bit about your background. I jokingly say, tell us your life story in 2 minutes, but take us back to the beginning. Take us up through your high school and college years. What's the Matt Parker origin story?
So I was born in the great state of Vermont, and I lived there early on. And then for my dad's work, we moved to Bloomington, Illinois. Spent my elementary years there, and then lived in Guadalajara, Mexico for six
Oh, wow.
years for middle school and the beginning of high school. So learned Spanish and am still. I understand everything. My speaking is fairly slow, but it's been a great addition to the toolbox over the years. Moved back to Vermont in high school. Finished my high school career there, four-sport athlete, and then did my undergrad at Castleton University, which is in central Vermont, and had the privilege to play basketball for the school there. And just before I got there, Stan Van Gundy was the head coach, and have had the honor of being able to communicate with him and stay in touch with him. Just got inducted into their Athletic Hall of Fame 3 years ago, and spent a nice weekend out there. After playing and getting my undergrad in secondary education and history, I met my wife. She's from Rockford, Illinois, and we decided that I was going to apply for one job in Vermont, which was the school I student taught at. And if I got it, we were going to stay, and if I didn't, we were meant to move to Illinois. And I didn't get it, and we moved here in '97 and have been here since. I taught and coached with a 1 year sabbatical where I did my master's and worked at Northern Illinois University for 14 years in the middle school in Winnebago and the high school in South Beloit, Illinois. And then for the last 11 years before early retirement, I was the district athletic director for Rockford Public Schools, which oversaw 46 schools at the time and just under 30,000 students. So my background, has the educational component, being in the classroom, the coaching component. When I was coaching high school sports, I was the head track and field coach. I was the head boys basketball varsity coach. I was an assistant girls varsity coach for a while. And then I have the administration side, overseeing, administering, as well as, looking for vendors to buy products and have a good relationship for a large school district in Illinois, the second largest. That's really set me up nicely for the last 4 years, working with 7 startups now, and also traveling the world with my speaking series that I'd wanted to do while I was district AD, but just really didn't have the time other than I would go and speak to college classes because I felt that was important to use my time that way. But to do consortiums and professional development and speak at different conferences, which is something I just didn't have time for. So that's been
Right.
really nice to do as well now.
Yeah, boy, I know what you mean on that last one. I spoke informally, hey Jake, can you come and talk to our coaches or something like that the last few years as an AD, but as it started to take off, boy, it can be a full-time job in itself. Um, let's go back all the way, growing up, even high school, even college. You were an athlete at that level. Was there ever a moment during those times, practices, games, bus rides with coaches, that you thought, hey, this is what I want to do, or this is what I'm going to do? It was always in your head that you're going to be a coach or maybe even an AD.
Yeah, it really clicked. It was after my freshman year of college. I was majoring in physical therapy at first, and I just, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the professors, but when we got into the clinicals of memorizing all these bones and phalanges and all these different things, to me it was boring. It wasn't fast enough, and it wasn't engaging enough. And I had a high school track and field coach who was out of the University of Madison, kind of a hippie guy, long hair, who coached me in track and field and taught history in Vermont. And he just really had a knack of being able to push me a little harder in the 400 and 800 and get me to spend a little more time writing a paper for his history class. And would stay after and shoot baskets, in the gym, rebound, and just really engaging. And, after my freshman year of college, I called him and I just said, hey, I really loved what you did for me. And I think that's what I want to do. Do you think I could do it? And would you recommend that that's the path I take? And, he was very encouraging and, talked about you're not going to make a ton of money, but you're going to help a lot of people and they're going to remember you and they're going to continue to engage with you when you get older. And so that's really where the seed was planted in high school, as a mentor. And then in college for me, wondering, what career path should I take? And it really worked out great. And everything that he said would happen came to fruition. We're not super wealthy, but boy, we're blessed with being able to meet a lot of young people and stay in touch with them. And I still have a text strand with my varsity basketball team from, 12, 15 years ago that, now we're talking about kids and finances and investing and things like that. It's not the X's and O's, but it's been really a very meaningful career.
Oh, that's so cool to hear. My wife and I are career educators. I did 41 years, she did 40. And again, if you're getting into it for the money, you're dope. But all those things you mentioned, the relationships, the experiences, boy, the experiences and the people you meet, you just can't beat it. Good for you. You made the jump from teaching and coaching to some people call it the dark side, coming over to the other side of the desk as an AD. Was that just a normal progression, or was it Daryl Nance out of South Carolina? He has a great line. Many of us become ADs because we weren't quick enough to duck when the superintendent threw the keys at us. How was it for you? How did you become an AD?
Yeah, for me, it wasn't even on my radar. I was enjoying coaching, and we had just built a phenomenal program. We uh, had the best school record in history and won the first regional championship in 31 years. And I was developing the AP curriculum for our history courses, just really enjoying it. And my boss of 5 years left and became the deputy superintendent in Rockford. And he just kind of started chipping away at me that summer. What do you think? And at first, I was very against making that jump. And by the end of the summer, he had said, I think you can really do this, and I think you'd be really good for the community. And so, I got some great advice from my father-in-law, and I said, I'm not sure I want to do this, but um, I think I'm going to. What do you think? And he said, well, what's the worst that can happen? You can go back to teaching, which you love. And so that kind of gave me the kick to go. And we had a great run of almost 11 years. And he became a really good friend and mentor, and he's a superintendent now in a different community south of Chicago. But we still stay in touch and mountain bike together. And I'm really glad I did it. I understand what you're saying about the dark side, but I think when you have taught and coached and been involved with union work, and you have that, and a high school athlete, a college athlete, and you have that background, I think it gives you a little more understanding and compassion and empathy, and the ability to engage when it comes to those tough decisions about budgets and what we should spend and not spend, and coaching salaries, and where it can get pretty sticky and pretty negative. You know, from my experience as a district athletic director, there were times that were stressful and tough, but for the most
Sure.
part, it was a really good experience.
Yeah, no, I tease when I say that. I loved being an athletic director. I remember parents would come up to me at games and they just say, "Oh, I'd hate to have your job. You have to, deal with parents and kids and coaches. You're here all night." And I said, "No, no, no, you got it all wrong. You have to be here to watch your kid. I get paid to come to games and hang out with coaches, and so no, I love my job." Um, in having knowing a little bit about you, I did my due diligence, did some internet stalking and research. You had quite a few really cool programs in your time as the athletic director. Can you share with our listeners the, I'm going to say, unique or interesting way that you as a district approached GPAs and eligibility and how that all worked out? It's a great story.
Yeah, the gentleman I talked about before, Matt Vosberg, who he's now the superintendent at Bradley Bourbonnais in Illinois. When we worked at South Beloit, he was the principal, and he convinced the school board and our staff that if we lowered the GPA to, really, it was aligning with the Illinois High School Association,
Right.
Pass 5, uh, 2.0. So we're really aligning with the state association, but South Beloit and many other school districts in the area had this higher 3.0 to be able to participate. And his whole philosophy was, if we drop it, we get more kids involved, we get more kids engaged, and in the long run, they're going to have a higher graduation rate and a higher engagement rate and higher GPA. And so we did it in a high school of just over 300 students. It worked. We had supplemental lunchtime tutoring. In the summertime, we'd get them on campus for extra workouts and extra schoolwork by offering free food a couple times a day. And so he thought, we can do this in Rockford, and we did. And it got picked up by Outside the Lines. ESPN was doing a segment because there was a school district in Boston that was doing the same thing. It was very controversial. Our board passed it in Rockford 4-3. There were former board members and other educators in the community that were very vocal. This isn't going to work. This is lowering the standard. And what ended up happening is exactly what Matt predicted, which was our grade point average went up, our attendance went up, our participation in sports doubled from 27% to 54%. And when we went on to Outside the Lines, Matt told Bob Lee, have us back on in 5 years and we'll show you the data that this worked. And Bob Lee said, okay, we'll do that. And so 5 years later, I sent the reporter Paula Levine all of our spreadsheets, and we went back on and had a follow-up segment and showed them all the data that really was super positive across the board. Not only did the GPAs go up and attendance went up and graduation went up, but our overall sports performance went up. We had a couple of charts that we tracked. One was the first time something happened in 20 years, and the other was the first time something happened in 10 years, regional championship, state championship. And the first time in 20 years, the list was over 12 occurrences, and the first time in 10 years, it was approaching 30 occurrences. So just exciting work, meaningful work, and like you said, non-traditional approach that really had a positive effect in our community.
Oh yeah, I want to say I remember seeing those segments because I was kind of a junkie for ESPN back in the day and outside the lines. But such a cool story, and to have that data to back it up 5 years later, and just very cool. I'm sure that's part of your presentations that you do now. We're going to get to brand tech later, but share a little bit with our listeners what you're doing now. You're no longer a high school AD. You're out in the world. You kind of made that leap. Okay. Talk about the presentations and some of the resources that you offer for ADs, coaches, schools, and leaders.
Yeah, so I'm doing three presentations now. One is using the principles of Stoicism and some of Tim Ferriss's work, along with a real focus on mental health, to give athletic directors maybe a different perspective on balance and the mental health and the daily focus that it takes to be an effective leader, but also, be a good husband and a supportive parent, and be involved in the community, and just to really hone in on keeping that balance. Another one is what we just spoke about, the uh, GPA work, and more broadly speaking, I get into 18 different tracking points that we used throughout that work, which came from a book called The Four Disciplines of Education, 4DX, where you take a leading indicator, a specific focus point, and you implement in our case, 18 different tracking points. And then on the back end, you have lagging indicators of where you want to get. And so I get into that, how to do it, what applications you can use to track that make it easy. And it can be something as simple as uh, a monthly recognition of a student athlete, uh, to more complex things like making sure you have equity and buying new uniforms. And then the third piece that I present on is a toolbox for ADs. And that really gets into the K-12 work where, one of the things Abby and Alec are doing, which is really wonderful and needed, is they're simplifying and honing in on different vendors who have um, great customer service and ethics for athletic directors to tap into and use as a resource, where they don't have to go out and find a vendor or interview a salesperson and figure out what the right fit is. Because oftentimes when you're doing that, as you well know, Jake, you'll start buying stuff from somebody and then they won't fix a problem, or you'll start working with a vendor and order gets messed up and they don't want to fix it. And so what Abby and Alec are doing with K12 is they're really screening, so you don't have to go through that process. You can trust that the vendors that they're going to promote are, have great ethics and great customer service and are going to deliver the product that you want. So in that last presentation, we really get into that. And what I've done when given that presentation is I'll bring a couple of the vendors to the presentation so that, after or before or during a break, the athletic directors can go and talk to them and, touch and feel the different products, test it out, download an app. And that's been a really positive resource for athletic directors.
Yeah, people have listened to my podcast. They've heard me say pretty much every episode, what a big believer I am in K12 Sports Tech and in, of course, the think tank and the vendor directory. It's such a unique approach. To me, it was kind of a Captain Obvious approach, but nobody ever thought of it until Abby and Alec put it together. I just think it's fantastic. Um, Another, let's say, project that you're working with. Well, first of all, let's go and give out, we'll do this at the end. Let's go and give out your contact information. If somebody wants to reach out, find out more about the presentations or even about what we're going to talk about next, what's the best way they can get a hold of Matt Parker?
So they can call or text me 815-558-4980. I use two emails. One is Google Gmail, CHEPARKER20 and my brand tech email is Matt with one T dot Parker at brandtech.com.
Okay. And again, we'll give that out at the end of the show and we'll put in the show notes too. All right. Brand tech. Okay. Share a little bit about, what it is, where it came from and why our listeners who are primarily ADs and coaches should care.
So brand tech, the way I came across the owners um, uh, is I was looking, what we were just talking about. I was frustrated with a vendor. It was a really big vendor that everybody knows who they are, and they had messed up an order for one of my high school coaches, and it was a big order, and the season was approaching, and they were just giving him a hard time. And a coach doesn't have time for this. They don't have time to be going back and forth with a vendor and arguing about why it was messed up and what they should do. And it just really frustrated me. And I just told this coach, don't worry about it. We're going to get it fixed. We're going to get you a new vendor. And so I just started searching, and I found this company out of Madison, Wisconsin called College Sports with a K, and had one meeting with them. And I said, here's what we need. We need, if something gets messed up, we need you to fix it. And we need transparency and honesty. And they said, yep, we can deliver on both. Started a great relationship with them, used them as a vendor for the district for 3.5 years, and just really got to gain a ton of respect for the owners and really their extended family that works for the company. They ended up getting bought by Riddell Football, and their sales folks got bought out by BSN Sports, and so the business split. They had a non-compete clause for about a year and a half, 2 years, and during that time, they started thinking about a new direction to go in the sports world, which would be their third iteration as a family for a business, and that's where Brand Tech was born. And so uh, they started the company about 2.5 years ago, and brought on some of their old salespeople, brought on some of their different folks that they'd worked with in the past, and uh, ended up bringing me on as a networking, just really using my network to drive business and to drive new contacts. And there's so many vendors in the sports world.
Yeah.
What makes them unique is, number one, is the things I alluded to before. They'll fix a problem immediately, no questions asked, and they're super transparent and honest. They're not going to try to oversell you. They're just going to get you what you need at the best price. And then they also have unique products. So, for example, they sell a sport deodorizer, which is great for football helmets and wrestling gloves, baseball gloves, football gloves. It's called Sport Fresh, all natural, no alcohol, no nasty product. It's just water and disinfectant, um, no chemicals, and then and it's actually been certified to take out MRSA and other nasty
Oh,
bacteria
wow.
like that. They also have a sport drink called Fizz and a sport shot called Fizz Boost. Again, all natural, doesn't have all the dyes and nastiness that a lot of the sports drinks have today. And they have unique partnerships, like they have a partnership with Dome Hats, which I'm wearing today. They have a partnership with Seismic uh, flag football and soccer headgear, which is super popular now, especially in Illinois and states like Florida and California, where flag football is really a hot new sport adopted by the high school associations. Um, and then we do all the traditional uniforms and fan gear and team stores and things like that. One thing that's really picked up for us as well is we do replica branded shoes, and so we have replica Jordans, we have replica Crocs, replica slides, and but we can put your school logo, your number, your team name onto those shoes, and so those have really picked up as well. And we've actually had a couple of the big schools in the suburbs recently just do shoe stores for their student athletes and fans. So just a great company and been really fun to work with, along with some of the other startups that I've been working with in the last 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, you brought up such a great point. Coaches, ADs, you're always looking for that. Let's talk uniforms or shoes, equipment, whatever. You're always looking at, over my career, we use some of the big names. We use some local, let's say the small town providers. But again, all you're looking for is when I make the order, I would tell them, hey, don't tell me you're going to deliver, by July if you can't do it. If you can't do it, I understand. Okay, I'm still going to work with you, but just don't promise July and then deliver in October. And then, as you said, getting replacements or getting repairs or things like that. It's just when you find that company, as you said, that has transparency, that has integrity, that follows through. I mean, that's gold. I mean, ADs are going to not just keep that, but they're going to recommend it to other ADs as well. Um, for somebody that might be looking to explore, a new option with Brand Tech, should they reach out directly to the company or should they contact you?
They can do either. Most of my work is making that connection, getting them to the right person. I work with a specific salesperson, but we just had a meeting 2 weeks ago where the owner of the company, Jeff Hamlin, jumped on the call, and when we first started meeting with, I introduced him to Abby and Alec with K12 Sports Tech. He's very involved in the meeting and jumps on for 2 hours. And so, yeah, reach out to me, reach out to the company, either way. But one of the things I really like about the family is that not only is he the owner and CEO, but he's intimately involved with not only meetings with specific individuals, but also super encouraging and super engaging on a daily basis. For the folks that work for him. So, yeah, just really good people, family run local business. And you talk about turnaround. We have a 3-week turnaround with all of our products once the order's in. Some of it's quicker, so I know that's important for athletic directors as well.
Oh yeah, because you're always going to get that coach. It's we'll say 3 weeks. It's usually less before the season starts. Hey, I need X, Y, Z. Where was this 4 months ago when I talked to you? That's great. So cool. Well, let's go and give out all that contact information again. If they want to, find out about Matt Parker, the speaker, the presenter, the consultant, okay, or if they want to get more information about Brand Tech, what's the best way to do that?
Yep. 815-558-4980 is my phone number. Text, call anytime. And then 2 emails. Gmail is CHEPARKER20@gmail.com. And Brand Tech is Matt.Parker. That's Matt with one T at brandtech.com.
Well, Matt, thanks so much for taking time of your busy schedule. I know you're moving all through the Midwest these days to share with our listeners. All the best moving forward. Are we going to see you down in Tampa at the NADC conference?
Yep, you'll see me down in Tampa. I'm looking forward to chatting with you and lots of other old friends. And, Jake, I really appreciate this platform. I listen to a lot of these podcasts. It's exciting to see who the new guest is every day, and it's a broad spectrum of topics, from trainers to college coaches to athletic directors at the high school level. So it's a super valuable resource, and you do a great job with it. And I really appreciate it as a person involved for a long time in the sports industry.
Oh, wow. You are very kind coming from you. I consider that very high praise. I'm just having a ball. I love hearing the stories. I think we do a pretty good job of sharing best practices. And speaking of that, we appreciate you sharing with our listeners today. Great stuff. Listeners, reach out to Matt Parker. Speaking of our listeners, we want to say thanks and remind you that we upload the Zoom recordings of every interview to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We do the Toolbox Extra just about every week and just about every day. We try to share stories and best practices from the world of athletics. So please come back and join us again on the next episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We'll see you next time.
Recording in progress.
Before we go, we want to give a shout out to our sponsors one more time. Remember, these are companies, I used every single one of them. They're great companies. I highly recommend you check them out. Check out Hometown, whether it's digital ticketing, website construction, or more, go to hometown.com. Ohio University, my assistant AD, along with thousands of others, got his master's through the Ohio program. That's Ohio University Masters in Athletic Administration. Home Campus, it's a platform I used every single day. Scheduling, rosters, eligibility, go to homecampus.com. Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards, go to sidelineinteractive.com. Gipper, let the Gipper team help you become a social media marketing guru for your athletic department. Go to gipper.com for more info. Snap Raise, if you're looking for a fundraiser, you just found it, and it's Snap Raise. Go to snapraise.com. Vital Signs Wall of Fame, if you're looking for a really cool way to display those school records, check out their touchscreen video consoles. It's vitalsignswalloffame.com. Huddle, as a football coach, I used it. As an AD, we were a Huddle school. Go to huddle.com. And Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack. If you're not using a survey, you're really missing out. Go to athleticsurveys.com. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you next time on the Educational AD Podcast.